Welcome to Ivri Anochi. I am a Hebrew, learning Hebrew through the book, biblical Hebrew, through the book of Jonah, class number 9, not number 9. I am Rabbi Rafi Mallet, everybody's Rebbe. This class is brought to you by the Seattle Kollel. If you'd like to make a donation, seattlekollel.com, SeattleKollel.com. If you would like to make a contribution directly to me, in the video description of this video should be a donate link. You can find it there. And in more good news, my YouTube channel just reached a very exciting milestone. I have qualified for the YouTube Partners Program because we now have sufficient watch hours. Enough people have watched my channel for enough time that YouTube is willing to monetize my channel. Now, there are a few different perks to that. One of them is channel memberships. That means, and by the way, I haven't created the channel memberships yet, but look out for those. Meaning, people can purchase a membership to my channel. Let's say for and I don't know, I haven't set the price yet, but let's say, just for argument's sake, it would be like $5 a month subscription. So number one, it supports the channel, but then there would be certain perks that would be associated with that. There would be early access to content. Now, obviously, the live streams are when they are, but I'll talk a little bit more about that. Let's say I'm releasing a pre-recorded video, like I do from time to time. The members would have early access to that video. They would see it before anybody else. Welcome, Stephen. And the in addition, there would be, let's say, members only live streams. So even though the Sunday classes right now are public, everybody can watch them, I could create a live stream that only the members would have access to. So, like, for example, what I was thinking of doing is maybe one night a week, I would just do kind of an open chat, open Q&A. Just come on, anybody who is among the members can come in and just discuss whatever they'd like, ask whatever they'd like on the stream, and basically guide the topic of that hour rather than me prepare a class beforehand. And that could be a perk that only the members would have. Jacob's here, yay! So Jacob, you're just joining now, but I was announcing that we achieved YouTube partnership. So I'm in the YouTube Partners Program, and we're talking about channel memberships. So so the perks being early access to content, members only live streams, priority responses to comments, things like that. There are other perks that come with membership, but this would be a way that people could support the channel and get something in return. In addition, a feature that you could use right now, if you want to, is something called super chats, and I think super stickers or something like that. So if you're watching on YouTube, and you see the live chat, so at the bottom of the chat window, and this is what I see, so I'm just describing what I imagine you see. There's like a little circle with like a little dollar sign in it, and if you click on that, you get an option to purchase either a super sticker, which is like for a certain dollar amount, you basically will post into the chat window some very cute little message that's like with a cute picture. It's called the sticker, and that gets everybody's attention in the chat. Or there's something called the super chat, where for a certain dollar amount, you can, instead of just typing a regular chat comment, you get a highlighted comment. So it'll be like big and colorful, and it'll remain visible for longer, so that you basically, the idea is more people will pay attention to it, and I'll pay more attention to it. So if there's like a specific question someone wants answered. Now at this stage, I don't have so many people in chat comments that I try to respond to every comment. But in theory, if there would be a lot of comments and somebody would super chat a comment, it would get more attention and I would respond to it more quickly. or a person could use it just as an opportunity to to just express their excitement and enthusiasm over the content and buy a chat for a dollar amount. And all these purchases go towards supporting the work that we do here on the channel. So these are some of the exciting features of being in the YouTube Partners Program. So I wanted to let everybody know about that. And now let's respond to some comments. Even though you didn't buy them for a super chat, I'll still respond to them as much as I can in an efficient manner. We have Judaic Noahide. Shalom, dear Rabbi. Shalom to you. DJ AC. Shalom, Rav. Shalom, DJ. Okay. Any questions or comments before we get on with tonight's class? Okay. As usual, feel free to interrupt at any time. Okay. I'm going to put the links up and just direct everybody how to use the links again, and then we'll go ahead with the worksheet. So this links sheet that you see here is available in the, first of all, in the email that I sent out to my email list. If you want to be on my email list, rabbirafimalad@gmail.com. If you want to join us in the virtual studio, rabbirafimalad@gmail.com. So you got this link, the link to this document in an email. It's also, I also posted it in the description of this video and on my YouTube community posts, and it is a pinned comment in the chat. So you go to this sheet here. It has access to the worksheets, the glossary, the Quizlet practice sets for all the different pieces of the language that we learn. We're going to go to the worksheets first. Okay. And when we get to the worksheets, you're going to go File, make a copy. That way you can edit your own copy. I'm going to call this copy Class 9. And okay, now we're looking at the copy. I'll enlarge it. And we'll scroll down to verse, what are we up to? Verse 8. It's Class 9, verse 8. Okay. Last week we did verse 7. Okay, where they said, each man said to his fellow, go and we shall cast lots, and we will know on account of whom is this evil happening to us. Remember, they're in the boat. There's the big storm, and they cast lots, and the lot fell on Jonah. That's what we did last time, and now we're on verse number 8, and ready to go ahead. Unless there's any questions or comments before we go ahead. Okay, interrupt at any time. I'll read it, and then I'll read it in Hebrew, and then we'll start the translation. Okay. Vayomiru elav hagida na lanu ba'asher limi hara'ahazos lanu ma milachtecha ume'ayin tavo ma artzecha ve'emi ze'am ota. Okay, that's how it's chanted. Now, what does it mean? Now here you're going to do the work for me. Okay, Vayomeru elav. All this is review. So who's going to tell me what this means by Vayomeru elav? I leave it to you.
And they said,
Good.
perhaps.
Right. And they said, and a love.
A love is maybe, perhaps.
So you're thinking of the word ulai, which is spelled with the same letters, but in a different order.
Wrong way round. Yep.
So look what I've done to clue you in. I green highlighted the first two letters to let you know that the Aleph Lamed alone is a word.
Eli. Yeah.
So
okay, I'm stuck.
All right, you're stuck. So if anyone wants to pipe in, they can.
To him.
Okay, so a love says Cliff is to him. So because the Aleph Lamed El is to. Okay. And the Vav suffix is him. And they said to him. So now here the people on the boat are saying to Jonah, and they say, Hagida na lanu. Now, Hagida na is new, so we're going to save that for now. But lanu we had before, so I'm going to let you guys tell me what it means.
To us.
To us,
To
that's right.
Us.
To us. So lamed prefix is to, and nu suffix is us. To us. Good. Oh, I just noticed that Judaic Noahide purchased the very first super sticker on my channel ever. So if you're on the YouTube chat, you could see it looks like a fist pump. It's a fist pump sticker, and it's much appreciated. Thank you so much for being the first person to purchase a super sticker on my channel. This is the first $1.99 revenue that Rabbi Rafi Mala channel has earned. Very exciting. Okay, now I can quit my day job. Okay, so yeah, back to the text. Okay, let's go to the third line. Now here, ba'asher limi hara hazot. Okay, now I think that I'm trying to think whether I remember, did I add the word asher to the glossary or not? We can check out right now. I don't remember if I did. I tried to remember to add all the words. Sometimes I miss it. So did I add asher? I did add asher. Okay. Asher is that. Let's go back to that worksheet. Okay. Now ba'asher lemi, you'll notice it comes out again, ba, like last time we had ba, in or with prefix, asher, that, lamed prefix, to or for, me, who. Okay, that's all from last week. But what's different is last week in verse 7, yeah, it said we had bishelemi. Now, bishelemi is in that, for whom. So that the shin prefix here, that, is really a stand-in for this word asher. The shin, that prefix shin, is really like an abbreviation of the word asher, which means that. Okay, they're pretty much the same. So ba'asher lemi is the equivalent phrase in verse 8 as we had in verse 7, bishelemi. Ba'asher lemi, bishelemi. Okay, means the same thing. So just like we had bishelemi with all the funny prefixes, and we said it was kind of euphemistic for like on account of whom. On account of whom. It's really the same. Here it's ba'asher lemi hara'ah hazot. We had last week the same phrase over here. Bishelemi hara'ah hazot. And just like last week, it meant because of whom this evil. Okay, just if you remember, because of whom hara'ah hazot, this evil. That means the same thing over here. Ba'asher lemi hara'ah hazot. So I put in all the spaces as if we would write out every single prefix, and but we can just write euphemistically. Here's this evil, hara'ah hazot. And if you don't remember why hara'ah hazot is this evil, you got to go back to last week's class. But this should be a review now. And ba'asher lemi, we could just translate over here this phrase on account of who. Okay.
On account of whom?
Yeah, on account of whom. Let's just change some colors. Okay. Just for funsies, colors are fun. Okay. Anyway, ba'asher lemi hara'ah hazot, on account of whom this evil, and the implied state of being verb is lanu, again, to us or for us, right? In other words, why is this evil happening to us? On account of whom? So they said to him something to us, on account of whom this evil is for us or to us. then they say this, ma melachtecha. Ma, we had ma before, I think.
What?
What? Yeah. Ma is what? Implied state of being verb, what is. Now, I mentioned earlier on that I'm giving you some of these like implied words here because we're at an early stage in our learning of Hebrew, and I want to unburden you of some of the more advanced stuff now so we could focus on the more basic stuff. At a certain point, I'm going to expect you to be able to infer these state of being verbs, and you tell me when it should appear, even if it's not directly translating anything in the Hebrew, but it's sort of implied in the English expression. What is melachtecha? So we have two words with two bits of this word. We'll start with the suffix, okay? The suffix, the cha suffix. Who remembers that? Anyone?
It's your, isn't it?
Yeah, your, you, to you, yours.
To
Your.
so it's you or your, right?
Yeah.
So generally speaking, when it's attached to a noun, like it is here, it'll mean your this noun, right? So what is your? And the word we're going to learn here is milacha. Milacha. We'll just review some of that when we get there, but we didn't learn this word yet. So what is your milacha? Okay, leaving that aside. Let me just take a look. We have some comments here. Someone says, Tim Flanagan, he says, I only have up to verse 5. I don't know why. So I also don't know why. This, just like I did, I went to that link sheet and I clicked on the link and it took me to the worksheet. And you might have an old copy of the worksheet, maybe that you created in the past. If you created a copy of the worksheet in the past, your copy will only reflect the verses that we had learned up to that point. Let's say whatever, class number 6 or something. We were up to verse 5. But you'll have to make a new copy of the current worksheet to get the updated one. Okay, what is your melacha? Okay, now we have ume'ayin tavo. So the vav prefix and the mem prefix we have learned. So I'm going to let you tell me what those two mean.
It sounds like
The vav is and.
Vav prefix is and the mem prefix?
Mem. From.
From, yeah. And from, now, ayin we didn't learn yet, so let's leave it out. Now here, this shoresh that I highlighted in yellow, the bow, okay, bet vav aleph, we had that multiple times. So I'm going to solicit that from you. What do I fill in here?
Come.
Okay. Now what we have here is a tough prefix. Now I did actually mention this peripherally in the last class. I think it was one of the recent classes, because it wasn't in the verse, but it was like an example that I was giving when we were talking about the imperative form, and how in the imperative form the imperative that is in Hebrew called sivoy. It's when you give a command. You say, do this. So the way that is, I mentioned in previous classes, the way that's expressed in Hebrew is you use the future tense form for you will do this, and then you drop the prefix that means you will. And I mentioned in that example that the prefix that means you will is the taf. Okay, so tavo means you will come. Now I'm going to just leave it out for now because we're going to have to adjust that because of the context here. But I'm just reminding everybody we did see this peripherally before. So, but let's move on for now, and we'll come back to it. Now again, here's ma is again what. Okay. Here's again the cha suffix, which we had up here, your, right? So fill that in here. And the word here, aleph resh tzadi, is the word eretz or aretz, which it's a very basic Hebrew word. Many people probably already know it, but we didn't officially learn it. So I'm gonna say hold on before we translate it. And then we have here ve'eni ze'am. So again, vav prefixes and, as we had already in this verse, we have now again. I kind of reordered the little elements of the language here. Here it's pink, green, and here I put it pink, green, because of the way that the English expression differs from the Hebrew expression. So I gave that clue to you, but the second pink space is for the mem prefix, which we said is from. Okay. Now, someone remind me. All right, we'll leave it for now. We also didn't learn. And then ata, another very simple Hebrew word. Here it's actually the emphasis is on the first syllable, ata. But it means the same thing. It's a very basic Hebrew word. Many of you may already know it. I'm going to leave it out for now because we didn't officially learn it. So what we have when we just fill in what we've already learned in the classes up till now, we have this much of the verse. And they said to him, something to us on account of whom this evil is for us. What is your something? And from something do something come. What is your something? And from something or something. We don't have a cohesive idea yet of what's totally being said here, but the majority of the verse is filled in. There's just a few key vocabulary words we're going to learn that's going to finish off the picture. Okay, any questions until now? All right, now I have a comment. Sasha Schnee says, I can't read the text. It's very unclear. I don't know why that is. I'm going to peek at the YouTube. It looks fairly clear to me on the YouTube transmission. I don't know if anyone else sees something different. The text looks fairly clear to me. If not, I don't know why you're not seeing clearly. Maybe you don't have a good connection. So I don't know why the text is unclear for you. And I apologize. I don't know what to do about that. Okay, I made a new copy with a number, and now I have it. I'm not sure what you mean by a number, but you made a new copy of the worksheet, and the new copy has the current verse. That's good. Okay, any other questions or comments on what I did so far? Okay, it's clear on my tablet. Okay, so this viewer says it's clear. Text is clear to me on YouTube. Is it the quality setting? Yeah, if you're watching on YouTube, check the quality of your picture, your picture quality. Fine. Okay, so let's go fill in the rest of the verse. Okay. And they said to him, I love Hagida Nalanu. Okay, so we need this shoresh here. There's a gimel and a daled for this space. So let's refer to our glossary. And what we're looking for, again, is a shoresh with 3 letters, but there's a missing letter. It's going to be one of the Yonah letters, Yud, Vav, Nun, Hey, and the 2 letters Gimel, Daled. Okay, so we'll see if we could find that. Now you'll notice here we have a Gimel, Daled, Lamed. Let me make it bigger. Let me enlarge it. Okay, and I did mention to you once that sometimes the Lamed is one of those letters that disappears. That is not the case here. Okay, it's not Gadol, big or great. That's not the shorish that is we're looking at. So if we keep looking, it's this one here at the bottom of the page. Nun Gimel Daled. Nogad, Neged, however you want to kind of conceptually pronounce it. And it means to tell, to oppose. And I even put in here, though many don't put this in here, I put in here to flow. And I'll explain myself. But like many people may recognize here the word neged. Neged in Hebrew means opposite. Okay, the famous occurrence of this very early on in the text of the Bible, the Torah, is when God creates Eve, it says, as an Ezer Kenegdo. Ezer kenegdo in Hebrew means Ezer means a helper. Kenegdo, opposite him. Neged, opposite. Kenegdo. A helpmate. He makes Eve as a helpmate opposite him. And of course, what does that mean? A helpmate opposite him. If it's opposite, so then it's an opposition. And if it's helping, then it's together. So what does it mean a helpmate opposite? Okay, that's another class. But that's the famous occurrence of this shoresh, neged, meaning opposite. But it also is the verb that is to tell. And the way I've seen this explained, the connection between these two, is because when one is telling something to another, it's like two people will stand opposite each other. And in that way, one can tell the other as they stand opposing, facing one another. Now, the reason I added in flow over here, I've seen some writers say that this word is related to the idea of a flow, because when one is telling a story, there's a flow to the story. There's a flow to the language. The idea of telling is the idea of flowing. And we even find in Aramaic that the word for a river is something like nagda or something like that. It's this same shoresh of nagad is the word for a river, which is a flowing body of water. Not only that, but even in Hebrew, the banks of the river are the gedot hanahar, like from these two letters, gimel dalet, like we're going to see in our word gad, the gedot. Once we get there, though, you can think of like the tribe of Gad, and it says Gad gedud yigudenu. The Torah is very poetically Gad gedud yigudenu. What is Gad gedud yigudenu? So a gedud is an army unit, like a platoon, you know. So, and the idea of Gad gedud yigudenu is that the tribe of God, they were these great warriors. They had this, it says, Taraf Zaroa Afkad code. It said they would cut off the arm with the head. They would slice an individual across from the shoulder down underneath the arm, and they would cut off a person's head and shoulder together with his arm. Taraf Zaroa Afkad code. So their God is described as Gedud Yigudenu. He goes out in army units. And there's a prohibition in the Torah called lo tit go didu. You shouldn't. Now, really, that's the shorish gadad, gimel dalad dalad. Okay, but it's still somewhat, maybe somewhat related. Maybe yes, maybe no. I'm not sure. But lo tit go didu in the Torah says you should not cut yourself up, which is a prohibition that a Jew is not allowed to. It says in mourning. Person is not allowed to cut themselves, which was a practice of the ancient pagans. They would cut themselves as a mourning rite. We're not allowed to cut ourselves up. It says lo tit go didu, and the rabbis even expound from there that Jewish people are not allowed to split themselves up into like opposing groups from one another. So Jews are kind of forbidden to oppose one another like these opposing army units, Gad gedud yigudenu. So I think really gedot hanahar, the banks of the river, have to do with more the it's sort of like the boundary of the river. It's the cutoff point, just like the groups of soldiers are broken into units, and it says lo tit go didu, don't cut yourself up, etc. So maybe that has something to do with being opposed. You have these two differentiated bodies. In other words, there may still be a connection to this shoresh, which has to do with opposition, but like I said, there's also the telling of one opposing person to the other, and the flow of the telling, and how river in Aramaic is the same shoresh, and that's where agadita comes from. The people have heard of the Agadah or Agadita, people, Haggadah, all these words are related. The Agadah or Agadita are the kind of like what people, it's a misnomer, but people often consider like the folk stories that are in the literature of the sages, somewhat synonymous with Midrash. It's really called Midrash Agadah, As a matter of fact, they're stories. These are the telling of stories, okay? And that's why the Haggadah of Pesach, on Passover, we tell the story of the Exodus with a piece of literature called the Haggadah, which means the telling, the retelling of the story. Furthermore, I just want to really flesh out the meaning of this shoresh so it becomes clear. There is a leader, a certain rank, a certain title of leader is called a Nagid. A Nagid. Now, why is this leader called the Nagid? Now, number one, because he's the leader, he sort of dictates to the people what they should do. So he's the teller. He tells people this is how you should act. The Nagid, certain way like a dictator, if you will. I don't mean that in the negative sense, but just in the sense of someone who tells as a leader, Nagid. But also he sets the people in a motion of how they should go, how they should move, how they should act, and that's the idea of the flow. So I want to relate that to the idea of a melech. People know the word melech. Melech is a king, but the shoresh, the root of the word melech, is the root halach, which is to walk or to go. It's the same idea because the king leads the people the way they should go. That's why he's the melech. He's the one who leads the people in the way that they should go. And that's the same idea of the Nagid. The Nagid as this chief or leader ranked person he is steering the flow of the people. It's really all the same. So all these different, the definition of the edges, the breaking into specific groups, the opposing parties, and the flow of speech from one to the other. All this is related in the shoresh of Nagad. I think that's my understanding of it.
Rabbi, you're getting absolutely rich here. Like, people are sending you so much money.
Okay, listen, I'll tell you this. I really hope I'm delivering value. I'm really trying to deliver value. So I really appreciate it. We have a $14 contribution
Canadian.
from Shirley Ann. We have Yaakov Sassoon, $20. I'm very appreciative of these are super stickers. You could look if you look on the YouTube chat, you'll see the nice stickers that they put up there. So fine. And Sasha can see the words clearly now. I can see clearly now. The rain is gone. Okay. So Shirley Ann, excellent. Okay. So now let's get back to the verse over here. Back to the worksheet. I'm taking time with this, but I hope it's valuable. Now here, so Haggadah is tell, okay? Haggadah is tell, but I want to say a little bit more about this. Maybe I shouldn't, but I want to point out that the form over here of Haggadah is once again the causative form. It's once again the causative form. The hif'il, but there's two things happening here. There's causative and what do I call it? The imperative at the same time. Like we said, the imperative is when you say do this, and causative is to cause it to happen. So here, the causative imperative is they're saying you caused this to happen. And what are you causing to happen? The shoresh nagad. But when I say tell, what you need to know, listen deeply right now. When the shoresh nagad means tell, it's in the causative form. The causative form of nagad is the verb to tell. Because it's like this, again, is the way I read it in a certain scholarly source, that you're basically causing the announcement of the words, right? Because if nagad means to oppose, so you're causing, you're standing opposite, and by doing so, you are allowing the telling of the words, or the flow of the words, if you will. You have to cause the flow. That is the verb to tell. Okay, it's in the causative form. So I put over here a star, and you can see in the notes, I tried to just work out how it's in the causative form, the hifil, that if we look at the infinitive form, it's lehafil, and that future tense form, where I would say you will cause, would be tafil, with the taf prefix. You will cause to act, right? And we plug in the shorosh nagad, right? We replace pei ayin lamed with nun gimel daled. So tafil becomes tangid. We drop the nun for reasons we stated before, and it becomes tagid. And when I want to put it into the imperative, I will drop this taf prefix, the imperative meaning the command form. But in the causative form, I replace it with the ha instead of the ta. So it's hagid, or here we have, like we saw before, there is a kamatz hey at the end, which I didn't have an explanation for. And boy, I really could have used you last week, Jacob, because I didn't know why the kamatz hey was added to a number of these imperative form verbs. So hagid is you cause to nogad, which is to tell. You tell, okay? Hagida, tell. Now, Jacob, just to give you an idea what I'm talking about, instead of just hagid, there's a kamatz hey added at the end. And then we had in the previous verse, similarly, we had well, it wasn't the imperative form, but we had vinapila, and we will cast. Instead of an appeal, there was a kamatz hey added at the end. And vinay de'ah instead of vinay da, and we will know it's vinay de'ah, and there was a kamatz hey added at the end. I didn't have an explanation for that other than it's just a variation. But you're a wise fellow, Jacob. Do you know why this kamatz hey is added to the end of the shoresh?
So I was looking it up to make sure I have it correctly. So this is what's called a suffix paragogic hey.
Okay.
And like many things which linguists study, and this is I'm getting this from modern linguists, so these aren't Torah sources. They will often name something and say, we're not exactly sure why, but and it appears that a paragogic hey puts emphasis on words.
Okay, you know what? That's somewhat like Cliff suggested last week. So I accept that. It's emphasis. I accept that. Thank you, Jacob. I appreciate your scholarship.
Okay, I see. This is why I should have looked it up. There's also the cohortative verbal ending hey, which is sometimes used with the imperative. And I'm guessing that's what's going on. So cohortative means as a group, right? Hagida becomes a group command.
As opposed to hagidu, wouldn't that be hagidu?
You know, I wish I had talked to you about the various websites where I look stuff up before, because I'm not sure this is the type of website you would want to use. But I'm just reading off a website where I do not trust the information very much, but it is a very useful place to try to look up what modern, especially non-Jewish Bible scholars will talk about.
Okay, I accept what you said. I don't have a full comprehension of it, but it's better than nothing.
One of the things when I'm doing this, I always say is, when it comes down to it, like, my belief in how to understand the Torah comes from Torah sources.
Yeah.
And it's nice to read what all of these, secular sources come up with, and they've come up with lots of stuff over the years, but a lot of times they'll come up with things which make me go, how do you know this? What makes you think that? And it doesn't seem to jive very well with Torah. So I personally am fine with using all kinds of sources which are, not necessarily kosher, but at the same time, I always try to keep a distinction in my mind that between like when Rashi says something and
Right.
one of these sources say something, it's like,
Right.
okay, I get how I learn Torah from Rashi, not from Professor
Exactly.
so and
Yeah,
so.
and that's kind of where I'm at. A lot of my specific knowledge of grammar rules I extract from the commentaries when they are gracious enough to share these grammar concepts, as opposed to just explaining the conceptual meaning of the verses. They'll go into grammar, and then I pay attention and I go, oh, I get it, very good. That helps me a lot. But I haven't encountered an explanation of everything, at least that I remember. So sometimes I scratch my head and I go, I know what it means because I know what it means, but I'm not necessarily sure exactly why.
So
Jacob?
just a thought. Oh, I'm sorry. Go ahead. You first.
Oh, thank you. Jacob, could you write those two words in the chat, cohortative and the other long P word? Thank
Sure.
you.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, go ahead, Cliff.
after speaking Hebrew for a while, you get a sense of the feeling of something, because from context, when people use this type of construct, it makes you feel a certain way. I know that's not scientific, but just for, again, kind of for food for thought, I guess. When I hear somebody say Hagidana, right? It has two effects. One is that it nounizes, for lack of a better word. It makes it's borrowing a noun form for the root to make it passive and softens it. So for instance, to translate this word, when my ears hear it, what I feel like is, okay, it's saying cause to be told, something like what you were saying, Rabbi, cause to be told, please, to us, right? As if cause the telling of to occur, right? And the effect of that is to soften it. And it's underscored by the fact of na, which means please. So, Hagida na, it's almost as if the na is saying please, but the actual form of the verb itself is kind of soft, and it's not confrontational. It's a Hagida na, cause to be told please for us, and then the rest of the sentence. I don't know if there's any, because the other two explanations, they're great explanation. I've never heard those words before. I'm like amazed. We've got a real expert on the line, that can bring up those phrases. I'm really impressed. So, good. I'm impressed by all of this, by the way. But that's how it feels. Hagidana. There's something that's soft. You're not saying, tell us, please. It's kind of like, could you cause to be told, please, for us, what this is? Anyway, that's how it feels after hearing Hebrew for a lot of years. And I have absolutely no basis upon which to say that other than a feeling. So anyway, I just thought.
So I might push back a little bit.
Sure.
The reason is, again, what I said before is that the causative form of the Shorish Nun Gimel Daled is the verb to tell. Tell is it's a causative verb in its nature.
Gotcha.
The active form would mean to oppose. It's the causative form that's to tell. So I don't know that there could be a distinction drawn to say because it's in the causative form that softens it. That's how the verb to tell is expressed. It's expressed in the causative form. Maybe you could make that case because there are other verbs for speaking. There are other verbs for telling, like lisaper, and that's an active verb. And by the way, it's very interesting about lisaper. A sapar is also a boundary. Like we said, like a gedud, nagad, God gedud is sort of cutting things up into defined things, and the gedot hanahar, the bank of the river, is the defined edge. Happens to be a sapar, is or a safar. I forget which one it is. Means a boundary, right? Misparaim are scissors because they cut, right? And a sapar is a barber, as a matter of fact, because he cuts the defined edges, right? And a misparim are numbers, very defined values, and lesaper, to tell a story, is because a story has a certain definition. It has a certain beginning, middle, end, that has a structure, story structure. And again, that has to do with flow also. So
yeah, just to
these are
clarify,
synonymous.
I am only referring to the kamatse at the end. That's all I'm talking about. I'm not
Thank
talking
you,
about
Jim.
anything else. I'm saying that the addition of a kamatse has that effect. That's all I'm
Right.
saying.
So there's that also. Now, there's a little bit more that I wanna say, but I was just responding. You could choose by virtue of the which verb for telling you're using could emphasize this or that. I don't have more insight on that right now. But also thank you, Tim Flanagan, for the super chat. I love this class. Thank you so much. You're very welcome. And so na, you spoiled that na means
Yeah, I'm
please.
sorry about that.
But that's okay. But I want to point out na, if you look in the glossary, I won't go to the glossary right now, could mean now as well. Could be now or please. And the idea of meaning now or please is that there's an urgency to the word na. Na is like, or please now, please. There's an urgency to it. So rather than softening it, I would almost say that the na makes it more urgent. Hagida na lanu, please, tell please to us, or tell now to us, right? So that's why I don't know that it softens it. It might even strengthen it, but we'll leave that for now. So they say to him, tell us now, please, on account of whom this evil is. Now, are they asking him to tell them on account of who the evil is after they just did the lotteries and it fell on him? We know on account of who the evil is. It's him. They did the lottery. That was the whole point of the lottery. So after they did the lottery, they said, let us cast lots, and we will know Bishelemi, on account of whom is this evil to us, right? And they cast lots, and the lot fell upon Jonah. So now that it fell upon Jonah, so I speak to them. I said, tell us now on account of whom this evil is. So what I think this means, I'm not looking at an English translation, is you, on whose account this evil is. You. We're talking to you. Ba'asher lemi hara'ah hazos. You're the one on whose account this is. Hagida nalanu. Tell us, please, oh, you, on account of whom this evil has come to us. In other words, now the Ba'asher lemi hara'ah hazos is the description of Jonah. This is how they address him. Troublemaker. You tell us now, oh, you troublemaker, the one who got us into this mess. Ba'asher lemi hara'ah hazos lanu. You're the one for whom this evil came upon us. Ma malachtecha. What is your melacha? Now we're short on time. Melacha, in the glossary, you'll find the word melacha means, anyone?
Work.
Now there's a lot of depth here with the word melacha, but we don't have time for, sadly, because there are other words for work in Hebrew like avodah. And what's the difference between avodah work and melacha work? It's very deep, and it's very brilliant, and it's very enlightening. But we don't have a lot of time for that right now. But we're gonna find out why are they asking him what his work is? What does that have to do with anything? Okay, but they're asking him, what is your work? Okay, what's your profession? What do you do with your life? Oh, I'm a prophet. Like, okay. Ume ayin tavo. So ume ayin by itself doesn't mean what it means in this context. Ayin by itself could mean nothingness. The word ain in Hebrew means not. Ayin means like nothingness. But may ayin means from where. That's what may ayin means. And from where, so the may with ayin means, so if you look in the glossary, I'll show you the glossary here. You'll see the way I added it. We're going to get to also me'ezeh. But go down to may ayin. I left the prefix in because it's with the prefix that the word may ayin means from where. But if I took it away and I put ayin, it wouldn't mean where. Okay, so specifically this combination may ayin means from where. Okay, so may ayin, from where tavo. Now ta, I told you, means you will. So really, literally means, and from where will you come? But obviously, from the context, that's not what they mean. It in this context, you have to understand it as a present tense verb. Even though it's written in the future tense form, you have to understand that euphemistically, they're using the language uses the future tense the way we would use the present tense. Where will you come from just kind of means where do you always come from? Okay. Where do you come from? So I'm just, instead of saying will you come from, I'm just putting where you come, and the implication of where do you come from? Where do you come? Right? From where do you come? What is your work, and from where do you come? Okay. Ma artsecha. What is your eretz? Who knows eretz? Anyone?
Land.
Eretz is land. Very basic word. What is your land? Ve'emi ze Okay. So ve'emi ze, vav and mem from, right? Now, to understand this, and this is the way I did it this way, is that the Hebrew word a ze, if you put together the a and the ze, the word a ze in Hebrew means which. And sometimes the way it's expressed in biblical Hebrew, like you could have said u me ezam, u me ezam, with the vav u, meaning and, me from, eze together, the a and the z together would mean which, and from which am. Sometimes it's split up, and it's the a mi ze, but it means the same as and from eze, from which, and from which. Okay. Am. Does anyone know the word am? It's in the glossary.
People.
A people or a nation. From which people? From which people? Which nation? Whichever you prefer works out. And from which people? But people as in a people, not a plural noun meaning person, one person, several people. A people as in a nation. And from which people? Ata. Ata means
You.
it's an easy one. You. Okay. Ani is I. Ata is you. And the implied state of being verb. For which people, nation are you? Okay. So we put it together, and they said to him, tell please to us, or tell now to us, on account of whom this evil is, meaning you, on account whom this evil is. Tell us now, you on whose account this evil is happening to us. What is your work? Where do you come from? What is your land? And what nation are you from? Now, why are any of these questions relevant? I'm really at the end of the hour now, but I'll open it up. Why do you think any of this any of these questions are being asked? Shirley points out malacha is what we don't do on Shabbat. The Torah forbids Jews from doing what's called melacha on Shabbat, which is when we say work, it's a very specific type of action. And if I had more time, I would go into what distinguishes melacha from other forms of work, so to speak. But I don't have that time right now. So we're going to keep it simple and say work. But anyway, why are they asking him these questions?
Rabbi, quickly, if I could ask, I don't know the cancellations. Does the cancellations also point to what you said about Shalmi's Harazeh? Hazot.
I don't know that the cancellation does that. What I see is just that, for example, these two marks here, hara'ah hazot. So you have underneath it those little elbow macaronis, one that's pointing forward and one that's pointing backward. Backward really just goes to put together the words hara'ah hazot, this evil, hara'ah hazot. Lanu, to us, this is like a rest, kind of a break in the middle of the verse. Hara'ah hazot lanu, this evil to us. Ba'asher. So I hear what you're asking. In other words, this Ba'asher has the cantillation under it is a tivir Ba'asher, and it kind of breaks it up from Lami Hara'ah Hazot. Whereas before we had it all together. Bishalemi, the tivir was under the mi, and here it's under the Asher. Ba'asher, and then the Lami is connected with the makaf over here to hara'ah hazot. So we put together these three words, limi hara'ah hazot, and the ba'asher is separate. Here, the limi was with the ba'asher. It was bishalami. So does that make it? This one was a question. For whom was this evil to us? We don't know. And here it's like ba'asher. I'm not sure. Obviously, there's a phenomenon here because it is different. So maybe that's the indicator that this is more like a direct. We have ba'asher husham, so it's like ba'asher. You could almost translate it as since ba'asher, since you are lami hara'ah hazot, the one for whom this evil came. Maybe I hadn't thought about, I hadn't contemplated the fact that it's broken up here. Maybe indicates saying ba'asher is more like matter of fact. Being that
I'm not saying anything. I can't do the cancellations at all. It's just always fascinating to me when somebody who does know the cancellations, they will actually read it in a much more natural way, even when they don't understand it.
Yeah,
because
cancellation is like it's like punctuation. It's like punctuation. So I'm only just noticing that the punctuation does break up the ba'asher from the lami hara'ah hazot, putting those three together, whereas in the previous verse, it's bishalami by itself and then hara'ah hazot, and maybe that's why. And here it's ba'asher is like in that it is so lami hara'ah hazot, for whom the ra'ah is, for whom the evil is, like it's you. So I'm not certain, but it does. Now that you make me think about it, my brain is kind of leaning in that direction that may be indicated here.
Now that we know all the words, do you mind singing it again?
What the Hebrew?
The verse? Yeah.
Vayomiru elav hagidana lanu ba'asher lemi hara'ah hazot lanu ma melachtecha ume'ayin tavo ma artzecha ve'emi ze'am ata. And that's why I break it up line by line the way I do. I do kind of break it up according to the cantillation. And I cheated here, actually, and you caught me, because I would have put this on a separate line, ba'asher, because of the cantillation. Ba'asher kind of puts that in isolation. And then lemi hara'ah hazot is its own. But when I was translating it, I'm like, ba'asher lemi is the same as b'shel lemi. So just like we translated b'shel lemi as one phrase, I should really put together the ba'asher and the lemi as a single phrase. But you're pointing out that maybe it's distinguished for a reason, because it changes it from like a question to more of a statement. But we were asking why are they asking these specific questions? So we don't have time, because the class is really up. So Tim says they're trying to figure out which god Jonah worships, and he's definitely on the right track. There is one of the commentators, I don't remember which, so I have to apologize, but I did look at a number of commentaries, and there is one, at least one, who says that, basically, since they are assuming that this storm is the wrath of some god, and they want to know whose god, and right, so it's this guy Jonah, so they want to know what is your work. We'll see what relevance that has to the god, but some suggest like maybe you were not honest in your work. Maybe you have dishonest work. Maybe the kind of work that you do is something that displeases the gods, or you were dishonest in your work. You did something in your work that displeases the gods. Where do you come from? As in, so here, where do you come from? What is your land? Which seems to be two different things. Rashi doesn't really seem to distinguish. He makes it almost synonymous. But some say, meaning, how far away is your land from here? Me'ayin tavo. From where do you come? Like, how far away? Maybe we have to go there and offer some kind of a sacrifice to your God or something like that. How far away are you from here, from where we are? How far is the journey? What is your land? Meaning, what is the God of your land? What nation? What is the God of your people? And there's a difference, because sometimes you have a God of a specific locality, and sometimes you have a God of a specific ethnic group. So if we could determine your nation, maybe that's the God we need to appease. If we can determine your land, maybe that's the God we need to appease. And now that I think of it, there were gods of specific like crafts. There was the God of the farmers, and the God of the winemakers, and Dionysus and Ceres and things like that. So maybe what is your work also determines what is your God. Who do you pray for blessing? So there are those who suggest that they're trying to determine what kind of oblation is required to satisfy the God who's wrathful against this individual. There are other suggestions made by
I
some
just
of the
looked it up.
commentators.
I just
What's
looked it up, and the Malbim does say that.
Is it the Malbim? I did read the Malbim, so I got it from somewhere. So it could be the Malbim. Rashi suggests, I'll just say Rashi because I feel like you can't leave out Rashi. And with that, we'll leave it. Rashi definitely suggests maybe you were dishonest in your work. Some say maybe you have dishonest work, right? You're a politician or something like that. And Rashi doesn't distinguish between where do you come from, what is your land, what is your nation. It's almost like where do you come from is the introduction to what is your land, what is your nation. Maybe the people of your land sinned, and God is punishing everyone of that land, even if they are distant from that land. Maybe you're getting punished if you didn't do it, right? If it's not your actions that cause God to be displeased, maybe it's on account of the people of your land, and God is angry at this land because of the sins of some of the people there. And so everyone who comes from that land is being punished everywhere, right? Collective punishment. The or from a certain people, maybe it's not based on the geography that God is angry with, but it's based on the specific people group. And so that if you're part of that people group, regardless of your geography, you're gonna be punished. So essentially, most of the commentaries agree, from what I saw, that they're trying to determine in what way are you connected to the calamity that's befalling us, that we're being our ship is going to be destroyed at sea. And if maybe we could figure it out, maybe somehow we could make oblation, we could remedy it, we could appease the gods in some way. Okay, so we'll pause here. Any questions before we close out the evening? No, nothing. That's fine. It's easier for me if I get to leave early. It's not early; it's late, but staying later is challenging. So, okay, everybody, thank you for joining. I thank you so much for those people who took advantage of our new YouTube Partners program and were able to offer a contribution to the channel. It really helps us out tremendously. You can't underestimate how helpful it is, because obviously I do put a lot of time and effort, and it's a labor of love for me to do a lot of my YouTube work, and to be able to earn something back is just absolutely wonderful. So thank you to those who were moved. We just read in Parshat Truma, the Torah portion of the contributions to the Mishkan. Those whose hearts move them, we're very grateful for that. And everyone else is welcome to enjoy and benefit from the teaching we do here. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Rabbi.
Shirley Ann says, the reward is for us. Thank you, Rabbi. You're welcome. Like I said, I'm trying to deliver value. So I hope you're receiving it. And I appreciate when you reciprocate and show the value that you're receiving. We have T. Bishop, the double peace sign. Tim Flanagan, thank you. Another great class, Rabbi. You're welcome. Thank you, and you're welcome. David Ivans, thank you, Rabbi. You're welcome. Okay, another note, because I'm recognizing some of these names. A lot of people email me. I'm really sorry. I'm so backlogged with emails, it's really hard for me to respond to everyone in a timely way. And I mentioned when I create the YouTube memberships that one of the perks is timely responses. So, b'li neder, without making a vow or an obligation, I will try especially to prioritize emails from people that do join the channel as a member, because you definitely are contributing in a way that makes the response on my part more urgent. So I appreciate all that. So stay tuned for more updates as we unlock more features of the YouTube Partners Program. Thanks everyone for coming tonight, and God willing, we will meet again next week. Have a great weekend, a great President's Day, a great week. Shavua Tov. See you.
Thanks.
Thanks, Rabbi.
Thanks, Rabbi.